If you have influence because of your amazing personality or your striking beauty or this otherworldly skill that you have, use that influence to elevate topics that need discussion, ideas that need sharing, to shine your light on people who don't have your influences, but people need to hear about. Use your influence to elevate them. Now, if you recall, the reason that we're talking about the humility of Jesus, so if we're talking in Philippians chapter 2, which is all about the humility of Jesus. Now, the reason we're talking about the humility of Jesus is to answer the question, how can people remain united in a world that's tearing them apart? How does that work? Why did this topic of Jesus come up? If you've been following along, you know that we've been in Philippians 2 for a little while. The Apostle Paul, he's writing from Philippians, writing from prison to the Philippians. He's facing a trial that could lead to his imminent death. He knows this could be the last ever letter that he sends to this beloved church, these people that care about him and he cares about so much. And so part of that message is that if the worst should happen, if Nero should have him killed, if things go bad, and especially considering that persecution is coming and that things are going to get worse for them, he's writing this letter and he's going, okay, listen, as persecution rises, if I'm not around, I need you to do two things. I need you to be good, stick together, right? Jesus has this under control. Be good, stick together. That's essentially the message of the first part of Philippians. Now, the question is this, how can a people as diverse as the Philippians stick together? Now, remember that in that day, they didn't have the incredible amounts of divisions that churches have today, right? These days, if you want to go to a church that's exactly like you, same skin color, same music style, same theological ideas, same economic class, same everything, you don't really have to go far to find it, because we've been divided so much that you can basically find anything you want in that you want to attend. But then, whenever you went to a church, you were essentially going maybe to the only one in town. And so if you were a Christian, it meant that there was a lot of diversity there. Rich and poor, powerful and peasant, slaves and slave owners, different races coming from different religions, tradesmen, politicians, prostitute, married people, single people, all together in the same church. Now, how could all these people possibly get along, let alone support and encourage each other when the tough times come? How's that even possible? It sounds like an impossible task, right? Especially considering that eventually, or real soon, I don't know, like within a few years here, there's going to be a lot of persecution to come. Like, Paul's not going to be around to referee, and there'll be a lot more persecution. And when tough time comes, that's when the relationships get really tested. And so how do you stay united? Well, God's answer to the question that he gives through Paul is in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 to 8. So let me pull that up for you. I forgot to do it here. Okay, so chapter 2, I mean. And we're going to go to verse 3 to 8. So this is where we're going to be. Okay, so let me read. So the question is, let me just get back there. The question is, how can we stick together when we are so diverse, right? So this is the answer. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men, and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. So the answer is, in all your relationships, be like Jesus. Well, yes. But what does that mean? What is that like? Well, Paul's summary is this. Jesus was humble. He raised others up. He treated everyone with equal value. In verse 6 says that at any time he could have pulled out the, hey, I'm God card. I deserve this. But he never did. Even as the creator of the universe, Jesus didn't use his position as an excuse to treat others worse than him. He actually treated others better. He didn't lord his power over people, even though he's literally the Lord, the majestic, most worshipped, most powerful being in existence. He humbled himself, served others, and refused to grasp at that power or demand what he deserved. Now, you know those people, right? You know the people who demand what they deserve. Maybe you've even been one. When they look at people, they don't see others that they can elevate, that they can help, that they can support. That's not the first thing they see when they see others. They see competition. They see stepping stones to help them get what they want, what they think they deserve. Don't you know who I am? Type things. They're the people that they like to name drop. They'd like to tell you who they know and demand that you call them by their title or whatever. They're the type of people who orient their life, that make their whole life a way to show off, to say, look at my wealth, look at my popularity, look at my beauty, look how powerful I am. And if you don't see it, or for that matter, if you don't react to it well, if you don't care about their fancy suit, their gold toilet, their pictures of themselves with famous people, their really nice business cards, if you don't make goo-goo eyes at them when they start to name drop, they actually get upset with you. These are the people who yell at cashiers and servers and stewardesses, and they throw tantrums in public when they're inconvenienced. They're the ones who park sideways in parking lots or use handicap spots they don't need because their car, their task, they are more important than everyone else. These are the people who make their vehicles extra loud or blast their stereo to demand everyone pay attention to them. On Twitch, where we are right now, these are the ones who have little fits when they don't get enough views, or they don't get enough subs, or they don't get enough pandering from chat. They're the ones who steal from other creators, thinking their popularity is more important than the artist whose shoulders they're standing on. These are the fathers who put a ton of pressure on their children because they don't see their children as individuals. They see their children as extensions of themselves. Therefore, they have to put a lot of pressure to become. These are the mothers who treat their children like fashion accessories, decorating them and naming them ridiculous things so that the mom gets more attention. It's the young man who won't stop looking at pornography, even though by doing so, he's supporting an industry that destroys people's lives, fuels addiction, objectifies women, and creates rape culture, practices human trafficking. He doesn't care because he simply treats these women as a stepping stone to get what he wants. He treats them with the same regard he treats tissue paper. Grab it, use it, throw it away, get a new one. And there are so many more examples. I'm sure you can come up with a dozen yourself. All of these have the same root: the belief that you are more important than others. God says in this passage that the key to unity in our families, our friendships, our churches, our society, everywhere else, is to see others as more significant than yourself. Look to your own interests and the interests of others at the same time. Don't hurt other people's interests for the sake of your own. Don't grasp at what you think you deserve, but instead see yourself, your power, your influence, your money, your time, your gifts, your abilities. See them as ways to serve people. And that's the thing I really want you to hear. This is really important because Jesus had all the power in the universe. He's God. He didn't talk himself down. He didn't pretend he didn't have abilities. He didn't deflect people away from him. That's false humility. He's God. He has everything. So his form of humility wasn't just to pretend he didn't have any or talk about himself like he was worthless. See, God doesn't want you to pretend that you don't have skills, that you don't have talents, that you don't have resources. He gave them to you. It is absolutely appropriate for you to know that you are beautiful, rich, popular, intelligent, talented. When you become a Christian, when you turn your life over to God, you start to follow in the footsteps of Christ. He doesn't ask you to stop being who he made you to be. He doesn't say, okay, now from this point on, go eat dirt and pretend you're a useless piece of garbage because that's humility. No. He says this, okay, you know that gift I gave you? I want you to use it. You know, the gift I gave you that you've been using for yourself, all I want you to do is I want you to instead of using it as a weapon against others, instead of using it as a beacon to attract people to you, instead of using it as an ivory tower to display how great you are, I want you to use that same thing, do the exact same stuff, but in my name and for the sake of others. As verse 7 says, Jesus emptied himself by taking on the form of a servant. So as God fills you up, and that's part of what happens when you become a Christian, is God cleans out your little cup of your soul and he fills you up with amazing life and joy. As you're being filled, pour that into others. That's all he's saying. Empty yourself into others in acts of service. So all that money you have, it's not bad to have money. Christians can have money. Christians can make money. Christians can be rich. But use the money to help people, build communities, spread joy. That amazing artistic ability that you have, use it to inspire people, challenge people, make the world a more beautiful place so people can be elevated out of their sadness or elevated out of their anger, so they can see beauty and be connected to God. The incredible voice you've been given, use it to bring people joy. Use it to teach people how to grieve, draw people closer to God and to each other. The intellect that you have, this remarkable intellect that you've been given, this knack for engineering or science, instead of using it to make other people look stupid or, build useless things for profit, use it to solve problems for people who cannot solve the problems themselves. If you have an influence, right? We'd always talk about influencers these days. If you have influence because of your amazing personality or your striking beauty or this otherworldly skill that you have, use that influence to elevate topics that need discussion, ideas that need sharing, to shine your light on people who don't have your influences, but people need to hear about. Use your influence to elevate them. But, and here's the warning for today, the moment you do that, you're inviting trouble. The moment you decide to use all that you have, all the things you have, there are going to be a lot of people in the world who are going to get upset with you when you start to do this. And you'll be very surprised because many of them are going to be very close to you. I still get this, okay? This happens to me. I'm 43 years old now. I still get this all the time. I've got a master's degree. I got 20 years of experience. I've got 3 books, one with a little award sticker on it. I've got a somewhat successful blog and podcast. I have technical and musical talent, and I'm pretty decent at public speaking. Now, this isn't bragging. I'm just saying God has blessed me in some ways, okay? I have talent in some way. But what I've done with all that God has given me has actually made people upset with me. Some of the closest people in my life are upset with how I use it. Some are angry because I stayed in small churches when I should have been looking for bigger, more important ones, that I could have been more famous, making more money. Some people were annoyed that I give all my books away for free. I give everything I make away for free because that somehow devalues me or devalues the books. Some people have sat and lectured me for staying in abusive situations, loving and serving the people that God called me to, when it would have been so much easier, so much safer to just leave. I've had friends stop talking to me because I stayed in dangerous places, ruining my health, because I thought that's where God wanted me to be, and that's where I could serve the most amount of people, and they couldn't handle watching me, so they left. And I'm kind of doing it again right now. I'm obeying God's call to serve folks in the streaming community. I spend 60 hours or more per week working on this thing, still giving all my content away for free, living on savings and the generosity of others that believe in me. And there are people who are upset, that think I'm absolutely nuts. Some won't even talk to me anymore because it makes no sense to them. Now, I know you get this. I know you understand this because a lot of people have been through this. But let me say it again. When you decide to turn your life over to God, when you give all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength, your talents, your money, your possessions, your whole future over to Jesus and say, do with this as you see fit. It's not mine, it's yours. I'll just do my best with it. People are going to get upset with you. Consider Jesus. He loved people and served people perfectly, and they killed him. Your decision to become a servant of all is going to make you not only a target for your spiritual enemy, but for everyone who is jealous of your talents, of your influence, and who, if in your place, would be far more selfish. They will say that you're squandering what you've been given because you're not being more selfish with it. They will attack you because you are being a servant. But do it anyway. I promise that the joy you feel serving others with that talent or that gift or that ability or that resource that you have, It so far exceeds whatever you get using it for yourself. And so my challenge for you today is to ask yourself 3 questions, okay? First, what gifts and talents has God given me? Ask yourself the question. Yes, you do have gifts and talents. You do. Everybody does. So dig around your soul, get honest with yourself, stop being falsely humble and pretending you don't know how to do anything. Go ask people what they think you're good at. And if you really don't know, if you have no idea what you're good at, what you're put on earth for, what your gifts and talents are, just start serving people in any way you see a need. Babysit for someone, cut up vegetables in the kitchen, go lick some envelopes, clean some floors, greet people at the door, go give some food to the homeless, knit and collect hats or gloves for kids in the winter. Commit yourself to calling the old people you know. Commit yourself to sending positive messages and connecting with people on the Discord servers. Make a choice to support small streamers in practical ways. Whatever, just start serving, and you'll soon discover what you're good at, what you're bad at, and what God built you to be. That's how it works, and you can hone it from there. Second, ask yourself this question. What gifts and talents do I have that I've only been using for myself? What are you good at that you refuse to do for people who need it? What do you have around you that you know you have lots of, too much even, that others don't have? And why haven't you shared? Third, in what big ways or small ways do you act self-entitled, arrogant, and more important than others? This is a tough one, but you need to ask yourself the question. So, for example, let me give you a few examples of ways you might not understand that you're acting self-entitled or arrogant or more important. Let me give you a couple examples. If you cut someone off in traffic, the message is, I'm more important than you. Get out of my way. What I'm doing is more important than what you're doing. My safety is more important than your safety. You're essentially saying I'm more important than you. If you treat servers and waitresses poorly, you're saying, I'm above you. I don't need to respect you. If you're yelling at the person at Walmart at the cashier because you were inconvenienced, you're saying, I'm above you. I don't need to respect you. If you're part of a team, whether it be at work or sports or whatever, and you're not pulling your weight, your message is, the internal compass inside of you is saying, my time is worth more than the whole team. I do not care how they're affected. I'm more important. If you refuse to listen to someone, for example, if you refuse to listen to and speak to children, or teens, or women, or whatever people group, I feel pretty and witty and bright. If you refuse to talk to any group, okay, you're saying, I do not consider your words, your feelings, your perspectives as important as mine. I can already assume everything I know about you and everything you're going to say because I'm smarter than you, and I will not demean myself by stooping to the level of a child, a woman, whatever. Give it a think. I think everybody struggles with this in some way, and it's good for us to meditate on how we do that. So the questions again are, what are your gifts and talents? What gifts and talents have you been using only for yourself? And in what ways do you think that you might be better than others, but you haven't really thought about yet? Imagine how united the world would be if everyone did that.